Thank you, everybody. Let me know if this is making too much noise. I'm going to try to talk quietly. I think it works better that way. Otherwise, I have a really loud voice. So, my inspiration for doing skies has been Wilson Hurley. He was my first inspiration. I don't know if you've seen his works, but when I was a fledgling artist, in fact, Song Yoon and I once met him and we begged him to give us lessons, but he was already elderly and not feeling so well, so we never got the lessons. But anyways, I still have his books. I love his skies. I urge you to look at what he's done. He was an airline pilot, and so he knew the atmosphere. He knew in and out the physics of the skies, but he still was able to render those skies so beautifully and so emotionally, and that's why he's one of my heroes of art, and I was glad I at least got to meet him. So I'm pretty much always a plein air painter. I rarely paint in the studio, so painting from a photograph is going to be a little bit hard for me. If you see me looking up at the sky thinking I'm looking there, it's because I'm not used to painting from a photograph, but I'll do my best. I brought a number of paintings of mine, and not because I wanted to put on a show, but I wanted to show you that there is so much variability in the sky. If you take a look at it, and it's all dramatic. And so this just shows you the breadth of skies that we have in New Mexico. I think all of these are in New Mexico, and most of them are from my patio in Placitas. This one and this one are from Corrales. So that's how close we are to beautiful skies. So if I have time, at the end I'm going to do my demonstration. And if I have time at the end, I'll talk a little bit more about these paintings and what I felt was important for learning about doing each of these types of skies. So, as a plein air painter, first let me tell you, and I always tell people when I give presentations all the time, but this is my first art presentation. And I'm really I can't walk and chew gum. So I'm going to try my best to stay out of my own way. So as a plein air painter, one thing you have to do is you have to learn how to cut corners and paint fast. Especially for skies, they change immediately. And one thing that's really important is if you understand what's happening in the sky, it's easy to start your painting, and if things change, you know what's happening. So you can kind of ad lib, and nobody's ever going to see what you were painting, so they can't go back and check your work. So, the way I start is I don't start with thumbnails because I usually don't feel I have the time to do that. So instead, I have a technique for doing a quick painting start when I'm looking at a sky and I know it's going to change pretty quickly, or I'm going to get hit by lightning or something like that. So I always use this to help me guide me on what I want to paint. It's really good for plein air because it's very easy to want to paint everything you see, and this really limits me to a composition. And the other thing I do, because I'm looking through this at my sky, is that I quickly draw myself guidelines, very gently, because I don't want them to show in the painting. So my guidelines are pretty much the same as what I see here. And I'll do that because I'm painting.
You're in your own way.
Oh, am I? Oh. See, this is the problem. Okay, let's
Get on
see
the other
here.
side of it.
Okay. A lot of times I actually do paint from the side, depending
I can
on,
move the camera, but we just have to figure out.
yeah, okay. So I'm using my right hand, and I'm left-handed. Yeah, and then look at my line. That's really cool. Okay, So anyways, I get my guidelines in there, and then what I'll do is I'm looking at the scene and I'll try to get an idea of what my composition is going to be. So after I look at the scene and do that, the next thing I do is that I take my finger, and let's see if I can get over here, since I'm left-handed. I take my finger and I put that composition on my painting by just imagining it. And I learned that from Albert Handel. If anybody read about when he went to that big plein air convention, and he had a big audience, and he was doing this on his painting, and people were wondering why he did it, and he said, "You know, I've already started this painting." And they all giggled and laughed, and it's actually something that I've learned from him, is that if you can visualize what's going to go on your canvas, then you don't have to do the thumbnail. So that's what I do. The next thing I do, okay, so I'm going to try to paint from that. That's going to be a challenge. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, there are two things that are really important when you're painting outside. One is, and when you're painting skies, and one is you have to look at where's the sun coming from, because it's going to create your shadow patterns and your big shapes. The other thing is that clouds, they cause shadows on other clouds. So you have to be aware of how much sky is available and how much cloud cover you have. So you're looking at those two things. And then the other thing you have to remember is that skies have perspective. And Bud's my teacher of perspective. I took this class. And so if you want a sky to look like a real sky and not a flat surface, and I see a lot of flat surfaces, you really have to look at usually the part just about above the horizon is generally farther away, and then you have clouds that are coming over your head. So you have to take that into consideration. One is perspective, the other is what is your sun angle. So for this picture, and I'll try to put one of these other examples in front of me. Let's see, where is this? Okay, so let's get it in some light here. For this picture, that's terrible, but the sun is actually coming from my back. So what's happening here is that the illumination is at my back. And there's definitely some sky because the foreground is illuminated. This one really low cloud is illuminated, and then the other clouds are causing this shadow on the ground. And the reason I picked this picture is because that's my favorite color, blue. I love that blue. I have blue toenail polish, that color. So I don't put it on my fingers, but on my toes. So in any case, the other reason I picked this particular photograph is because you have a foreground cloud and then you have all of this background. So it has some depth. So the one I'm painting from is a little bit different than this. This has a better foreground than that one. So I'm going to try to do a combination of those particular photographs, views. Okay, so the next thing I do is when I'm looking through my my viewer, I line up the ground with wherever I want it in the picture. And since most of these, in fact, sometimes I do them a little bit too low because then when you frame them, most of it's covered. But what I like to do is I want to have at least 3/4 of my painting be my sky, if that's the focal point. So, and I want to use my foreground as a reference. So what I will do is I will quickly put in the colors I want. And a lot of times, let's see, so I want to get in my darks right away. And because it's easier to put dark on light. So, let's see, look at this one. I'm sorry that this isn't showing. I don't know how to do this so you can see what I'm painting. just difficult. Okay, let me use maybe. I picked out some of my colors ahead of time because I don't know if you can see this. I've got like about 1,000 colors up here, and I just wanted to hurry it up. Oh, that's not. Actually, I might have to go to
Can you move the camera a little to the left? You can't move this on.
I could pretend I'm short. How about that? Yeah. Okay. It's okay. So I'm just getting in my big shapes. Shapes are everything, and I'm getting in sort of my color scheme for my foreground so that my sky colors will be complementary. And actually, you know, I painted in the wind, and so this weirdness is not really unusual for painting plein air. Okay. So these are just sort of background colors. I'm gonna take a brush. I do a lot of brush work when I'm doing skies because I think if you really want to represent a sky, there's soft edges. There's a lot of soft edges. There's hard edges, but there's soft edges. And
Is that alcohol?
no, I just have a dry brush.
Oh.
My favorite brush. I don't know where I'll ever get another one like it. But.
What kind of surface are you painting?
So I am using UArt. And another thing I do, because I am going to do a lot of blending, is that I use like a 600 or an 800 grit, so I don't rub all my skin off my hands, and it blends much easier. So I get my soft edges that I'm really going to want when I get to the sky part. Okay, that's kind of sloppy, but you know, you can always go back. All right. So the next thing, I usually do that pretty fast. I don't even take that much time because the sky's going to change. The coloring's going to change. So the next thing I do is I want to get my darks in, my shadows. And in this case, it's this beautiful blue, and I don't even know if I have that beautiful blue. But we'll start. Let's see what this one is. Nope, it's too light. I'm still really just toning the paper, which is why I'm using the darks. Okay, let's see here. So that's that, and it's going to be changed, but that's that blue layer that's under this foreground cloud. So I'm starting to get the shape of the foreground cloud here. It's, you can't see this very well. This, I'm not going to do exactly what this cloud shape is. This is my backyard in Placitas. I wish that was in better focus. Let's see. Anyway, it has these little turrets coming up. It's a really close cloud, and it has these little turrets coming up. I don't think I'm going to put them in because it's kind of an odd shape, and I don't know if folks who would be viewing this picture would understand it. Because a lot of times there's some incredible things that happen, but if you paint them in, even though they're real, well, you know, they're distracting. So I'm not gonna do that. Clouds have lots and lots of colors in them, especially these foreground clouds. They reflect the ground. If you really look close, especially for low clouds, or if you're looking over the desert, when we have those big storms, you can actually see the colors of the ground in your sky at the lower levels. And if you put those colors in your clouds, it actually draws the whole painting together. So I like to do that. So one thing that I have so many pastels, one of the reasons I have all those pastels is because not only do I have certain colors that I want, I also have textures, you know, hardness. Because you can put dark colors on and put light colors on top, that's easy, but if you want to go over it with a dark color and not turn it into mud, if you use like a hard nude pastel or something, you can scrumble over it and make some sort of an effect without turning it all into mud. Okay, so I like to give skies sort of a vertical feel. So my underpainting a lot of times will start out vertical, and then I'll put in my details horizontally, because the sky kind of is horizontal. Is it because I don't have my glasses on? Or is that out of focus? I don't have my glasses on, so maybe it's in focus.
It's fine.
Oh, okay. It's because I don't have my glasses on. Okay. So I don't mind blowing it when you're outside, the wind takes it away, but here, it's different. So I do a lot of this. I have a cleanup. I use a lot of this to clean my hands. You have to keep your hands clean because you can turn your sky into a mess. A lot of times I like to use a really light yellow under the whole sky, just so it illuminates through the blues and the grays. But the UArt paper has kind of this brownish tinge, so I save my pastel and don't do it. Okay, let's see. So let me get on the fork. So I'm going to start in this blue part, and I want to push it back. So what I want is my sky features to be fairly small because they're way back there. Stop making that weird noise.
from the photograph, is that shadow actually on the ground?
No. I'm already working in the sky.
Okay.
So, but the shadow is actually sky that's way far away, and the cloud above it is really close. Now, if I wanted to put in maybe a mountain range in the back, and I could have done that, I would probably use maybe a lighter blue and come across here. And I might do that at the end, who knows? Let's see what other colors I have here. So I use these plastic boxes, and I know it's kind of tacky, but I travel a lot to paint, and I use the Heilman box, but these boxes, I pack them up and I put them in a suitcase. And they're so much lighter, I just can't, and because I'm a plein air painter, there's no reason for me to leave my pastels at home, because I don't paint them, I don't paint in the studio, so I take everything. And then I use what I want. So what I do is, I have these little boxes, so after I finish a painting, I'll put them in a little box, and then I can go back and finish things. So, another reason for pushing this back is that I don't have the foreground finished. So that's why it looks like it could be the ocean.
When you finish a piece outdoors, a plein air piece, you take it home at all and fine tune it?
Sometimes. The problem with me, and because I have this other job, is that if I don't finish it out in the field, I never get back to it. It sits in a pile. So I try to finish them at home. If I have the time, I finish them out in the field, and if I have time, I'll finish them later. If there's really if I love the painting and there's something dramatically wrong with it, then I will finish it at home. Fix it.
How long are you usually out in the field?
Well, the thing is that in 2 hours, you're done. Because if you don't have your painting done by then, everything's changed. And so, you don't even need to be out there at that point. So it's another reason why you need to paint fast.
Yes.
Maryann, if you're painting clouds that are moving a lot or changing, do you work on those first and then do the bottom part, landscape?
Well, I personally need to have a perspective. So that's why I just block this in, so I know. And I'm not really intent on making an exact replica of the sky. I understand the sky, like I know, I hate to name things, but I know if I'm looking at a cumulus cloud or an amble cloud, I know what it's gonna do. And in fact, if you wanna paint skies during monsoon season, you get out there about 10 o'clock, because by noon, they're great. And so, some people wait till they're great, and by the time they get out there, they're done. Or it's raining. So I usually start about 10 o'clock. I'm finished painting by about 11, when they're really at their best. So I do a lot of rubbing with my hands. I like the feel of it.
Do you usually stay pretty close to your home?
Pardon?
Do you stay close to your home when you're painting?
No. I go everywhere I want to, but, I do a lot of painting at home. Why not?
Maryann's a member of the Plein Air Painters of Mexico.
Right. I go to, I paint in Hawaii every year, and I paint in California every year. I know, it's really sad. I paint, the ocean in Hawaii. I love that. My husband's an astrophysicist, he's a university professor, and he gets invited to a conference every year, and so I go with him, and I go paint, and he does his conference.
Can you move for a second so we can see what you just did before you swipe it? Because you've been blocked.
So I'm just putting layers on. And, I kind of want this lighter blue to show through on the top. And, you kind of want that transparency. A lot of the finishing touches on the sky. So, for instance, you can't see it in this photograph, I'm sorry. This photograph is small too. There's a lot of little areas where the sun is peeking through the clouds at the bottom. And I'm going to put all those in because that makes this sky formation look smaller and more distant. So I'll put those in while I'm painting. So, do you guys know about Roy G. Biv? So I'm aware of that when I do twilight or nocturnes. I look for those color patterns. If you do something like a little
Could you repeat that, please?
Roy G. Biv?
Yeah, can you explain that?
What is that?
Okay, that's the colors of the spectrum, and at twilight, you can see those colors in the sky. And if you know that they're there, it helps you to pick out the right colors and get it done fast, because sunsets go really fast. So it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And if you look at my twilight painting over there, that's astronomical twilight, and it has that color pattern. Astronomical twilight is just before night. Okay, let's see here. So I'm not, I could be doing this a little bit better.
Maryann, how do you incorporate all those colors in a twilight sky? Any very light coats or?
I usually do, everything I do because I'm rubbing it in are light coats.
Okay.
And, I'll have to look at that and then tell you what I did, because I did that one a while ago. But I try to, because the sky is so transparent, so I like to do lots of light coats of lots of colors. This particular cloud pattern has lots of colors in it. And the other ones do too, but this one was kind of a whitish cloud. It was in the middle of the day. So, ask me any questions because I don't know what I haven't told you. That might be interesting.
You talked about hard and soft. Do you do many hard pastels or?
Yeah, I do a lot of these, like for instance, when I do these fine lines, sorry, I'm paying attention to where I'm at. When I do these fine lines, those are with a new art, or new pastel. And then I use for things that I'm gonna rub a lot, especially the whites. I love the Terry Ludwig whites. And so all of those white colors I use are Terry Ludwig. And then I use tons of Similia because they have the most fabulous darks when I'm doing a dark sky. And then I use Schminckeys because I have them. Okay, so let's see here. Still have a pattern down here. I want to emphasize. So because this is illuminated from behind me, it kind of has a leading edge. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull that off. So this lower cloud is shadowed by the upper cloud, so it's all kind of a bluish gray. I make my little puffy clouds. I put in a pattern, it's kind of a circular pattern. This one isn't really a puffy cloud, but I'm just showing you how to do it.
What kind of cloud?
Little puffy ones.
Puffy, not.
You ever heard those songs about
Not
puffy
a
clouds?
puffy cloud?
Puffy clouds in Arizona. There's a song. And then I just blend them into the blue above. Because they're really airy. And so I just blend it into the blue above. And then if I want to define them a little more, I'll take a lighter white and define some of them. So this one, it's backlit, so I'm not really showing you how you do those shadowy things. So this isn't really what this looks like, but I'm just showing you that's how I do it. That's what I'm here for. So I'm going to stick a moon in here, show you how I do the moon. Okay, so you have to know what size your moon is relative to everything else. It's going to be bigger if it's closer to the horizon because it's spread out by the atmosphere, and it's going to be smaller if it's way up in the sky. So I either break a pastel or I find a pastel that's the right size. Okay, now you have to see this. And, okay, we're doing a half moon here. Oh. And you take it and you just twist it around its center and you get yourself a nice, normally a nice circle. Unless you're trying to do it in front of everybody. Then it turns into some weird thing. Okay, but that's okay. We're doing pastel, so fix it. And the other thing about twisting it and then just leaving it is that you kind of get the face of the moon in there, sort of. Can you see that moon?
See your hair.
Yes. I'm really a klutz. You see that moon?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So, just a twist, and you're done. You gotta be faster. You can sit there and try and make a circle like this, and you could do that if you want, but this is an easy way to get it done.
No man in the moon?
Yeah, that's why I do just one twist, is because it's not real thick, and so the man's in there, unless it's a woman. Okay, so, let's get back to this. This is actually, I'm just about done. So, there is a cloud, something happening over here. It's kind of a yellowy color. I don't like that. So I'm going to make it something else.
I am God.
What?
I am God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're closer to God when we're painting cloud, I think.
For demonstration purposes, would
Yeah.
you be willing to show like one of those small clouds that are in front of the light clouds so they look dark?
Oh, yeah, it's really just about, those sort of lenticular clouds that you get that go across.
Yeah.
They have a name. I can't remember it. Oh, it's in my little cloud book. Okay, so I've won a couple of awards for clouds, and this was Plein Painters of New Mexico. I got Cloud Appreciation Award for the cloud painting. And this was one of my prizes, and this is like one of my prized possessions. It has all of the different cloud features, and they have names. Now, I don't like to name the clouds because then you're not doing shapes, you're doing things. But when you oh, this is, let's see, cumulonimbus. Anyways, but it does give you some information about, for instance, on this page, at what altitude your clouds are. So you're looking at one of those huge thunder clouds. They're up to, 4 or 5 miles above the sky. So it's really pretty far in the distance. And the bottom part is formed by water vapor, and the top part is formed by crystals, and crystals act like prisms. So you get all these cool colors at the top. And so, oh, and this is my mammatus clouds. So that's where I found out what the name of those were. It's in the book. So
What's the title of the author of the book?
it's called The Cloud Collector's Handbook by Gavin Praetor Penny. And he signed it, which is another cool thing because that was part of my award. I'm now an official member of the Cloud Appreciation Society. And so there is a page here. This was done in 2009. And I swear, I just laughed my head off. What happens is if you see these types of clouds, you can actually collect points. So it's like you become a cloud collector, which is very cool because you don't have stuff in your house. You collect your points. And it says here, there's this little cloud on the top. I don't know if you can see it. It's called a Peleus cloud. It forms from high winds above a cumulonimbus cloud that's growing up. So the cumulonimbus acts kind of like a mountain and causes wind to go over it and makes this cloud. And it says here, bonus for one that forms over the top of a cumulus congestus cloud that looks like Donald Trump. This was written in 2009. And I just laughed. I couldn't believe it. So it's from England. They know a lot more about the world than we do.
What's the author's last name?
Praetor, P-R-E-T-O-R, Penny, P-I-N-N-E-Y.
Cloud Appreciation Society website.
And you can become a member, and you get a cup, and you get a certificate, and you get stickers for your car, and you get this cool book. And so that was like one of the coolest gifts ever. I was like, that was worth it. Okay, so I can finish this up a little bit. And the next part I would do at this point, first, hopefully it would be a little bit more neater than the one I've done for the demo. But the next thing that I would do is the foreground. I clean that up. But I'm going to finish the sky first. I don't even have pastel on parts of the sky. Oh, let's just get this. A little bit of that on the other side too. What color did I pick up? Around my moon so it actually shows. It was pretty sloppy, but whatever.
That's
a demo.
It's in the way.
It's a demo. Okay, so back to the foreground. So what I really want the foreground to do, and frankly, Iva Morris does the most fantastic foregrounds for her skies. And I've been trying to learn from her, but I haven't reached that level of expertise yet. I want to put a little orange in my jig. Let's see here. Let's get some grasses in here. This is really not great. But you get the drift. This is I probably wouldn't have used this gold ochre because it's a little too thick for grass. It's making my lines too thick. I probably would have looked for maybe something thinner or used a Terry Ludwig so I could use the side.
Maryann, do you mount your paper?
Huh?
Do you mount your paper?
No, I actually get it done by Dakota Art because they won't charge you extra to do the sizes that are not the normal 11 by 14, 12 by 16. Although 11 by 14 is by far my favorite size for plein air. For some reason I can get the painting done. When I start getting bigger, I can't get the painting done.
So you have Dakota Art mounted for you then?
So I call Dakota Art and I order UArt in the grit that I want and I ask them to mount them. And it's just the same as if you buy them on the boards, maybe a little bit more if it's a little bit bigger size or a little bit less. And then I order a bunch and a lot of times UArt sometimes has sort of a pattern in the grit.
Yes.
And I ask them, I say, no pattern in the grit, and they send it to me without pattern in the grit. So they must be, checking it before they send it to me. And so I just specifically ask them for no pattern in the grit.
I didn't know they offered the service of mounting.
Yeah, well, you have to call them. And yes, because I think anything you're getting from Dakota Art they're mounting it anyway. I don't think that, I never got anything from them that's in those holders that you get if you order directly from UArt.
So do they mount on mat board or?
It's archival, it's either 4 or 8 ply board, cotton board.
You're in the way again.
Well, that's okay if I'm in the way now because I'm making a mess of this
Okay.
shrub. It really doesn't look that great. So I'm not using the right color.
Is that a bristle brush or sable or what?
I don't know what it is. I bought it at, I also plein air paint. So I'm an extreme painter, and my husband and I, we canoe in the boundary waters of Minnesota, and I take my paints on the canoe, and I forgot a brush, so I bought it at a store. So I don't know what it is. It wasn't an art store.
At a 5 a dime.
Yeah. So it's a challenge because my husband said, "You taking that stuff and you're carrying it, so I can carry all my stuff myself."
You've obviously never swamped.
Yeah. I haven't dumped it in the lake yet, so that's really good.
Boundary waters up there are just beautiful.
The boundary, well, they are just beautiful. I have, a lot of times what happens is when I do a boundary water painting, then I keep it. I don't put it in shows.
We can see your hair.
Oh, God. Put it up in a bun.
And then see your back.
Well, I was painting with my right hand, I'll do that.
She's switching between right hand and left.
Yeah, I do that out in the field too. I just switch hands. So another thing that's good about these boxes is that I cover them up with these little strips, and then I drive them around in my car and it cleans them. Just put them in the car and go to work. Really don't know. God, you'd think I'd have exactly the color.
No, you never have exactly the color.
Okay, so how much time is left? Because I do want to talk about all these paintings that I dragged here.
We have about 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. Let me just clean this up a little bit back there. A little bit. I don't think I'm going to be entering this one in the national show. But, whatever. Okay, so, whoa. That's that for now. So anyway, I did want to talk a little bit about these paintings. So this one I did along a ditch in Corellis, and the way I make, I'm gonna be in front of these two. The way I make Virga or rain is I'll put in my color here and I just do like that, done. And I use this color here to push these, have more atmosphere and push these clouds back. This one was done at Civil Twilight, which is right after sunset, when the sun is behind the horizon. That's called Civil Twilight, and that's where you get all your reds.
What's the first part of that twilight?
There's Civil Twilight,
Civil-
Nautical Twilight, and there's Astronomical Twilight. My husband tells me that all the time. He's in the
So civil as in CIVIL.
Yes. So that Civil Twilight is right after the sun is behind the horizon. You get all these cool colors. And Nautical Twilight, it starts to get gray, but you have a really light blue-green sky, which I don't know if I have one here. No. Well, it would be this color, but this color would go all the way up, light. And then Astronomical Twilight is just before dark. So this one's actually sort of in between. And this one, I think I did in Hawaii. I think that one was a Hawaii
Can
picture.
you hold that up, turn it a little bit?
Yeah,
Sure.
I can see it, yeah.
So,
Okay.
Oh, come in the light.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that one I did, plein air, really fast.
Gonna paint tonight, full moon.
I might, you never know. Actually, the sunrise was fabulous. Oh my God. And I had to get up that early to pack all this stuff. So that's that one. Okay, so stars. You know, well, this probably is Venus. You know, John would correct me. Okay, so stars, just a little tad. And maybe a smear to make, you know, the little rays that come off the stars. But don't do it to all of them, because then it'll look like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So here I've got one. It's just a teeny little tip. This one, this is from my house. So the thing about this and that from my house is that those are stormy skies, but I was on the patio, so I can go in the house. So this one is those mammatus clouds, and you get those like after a storm or at the bottom of a storm. They always, I think that they're exciting because they look like they're going to turn into tornadoes. So I love the movement, the high wind movement. So I love doing those. That lightning is fake. I put it in it just for the heck of it.
So you weren't worried about your life then?
No.
Okay.
No. So that's a storm that was growing, so this one's backlit. So the sun is right about there on the other side. And that's why you get that beautiful glow right at the top of that cloud. This yellow down here, right at the foreground, it was like that. You're looking through the atmosphere, it was a little bit clearer there. And so you're gonna get your yellows. You get a lot of yellow at the base, right at the horizon. And these rays that come off because the sun is blocked by either the ground or the cloud or something are called crepuscular rays. And the only reason I'm telling you those names is because you can use them for names, for paintings. And that's that Mammatus cloud again. I love those.
Is that kind of popcorn little?
It looks kind of like popcorn, yeah.
Like the
And,
bottom of an egg carton.
pardon?
Like the bottom of an egg carton.
Yes. Well, they say it looked like, in the book it says it looks like udders. But then, nobody's good by it. Painting's over. And so this one also was a sunsetty cloud, and so this is, I don't know if I captured it, but this is supposed to be closer up and lower to the ground. And then this was happening in the sky over that particular cloud formation. And then what I did for the ground is just, didn't want to waste my time on the ground, so I just took a dark, probably eggplant, and I just did this, and then I did a yellow over it, and done. That was my ground. So these little clouds are a mixture of the blues coming into the lights, and the lights going back out into the blues. So you mix them back and forth to get those really wispy sort of textures. So, questions? I think that's all I can remember to talk about.
One question on the white top of the cloud in the middle foreground paint. Is that a pure white or is that an off-white? Can you tell?
The only time I ever use a really white is if I really want to illuminate. And this one, probably these little things here, probably are really close to a white. Just because I really wanted them to be the focal point. And in fact, it might have been a mistake to put the lightning in because it kind of like where you're supposed to look. I think it would have been fine. Maybe if I put some of that kind of lightning in and left that out, it would have been fine.
Did you do the lightning with a pencil?
I did the lightning with new pastel, just the tip. Very touching lightly, because I do a lot of really light touches.
To me, that one is a snow goose flying up into the sky. It's got wings. Yeah.
I could call it that.
Maryann, this was inspiring. I haven't done cloud paintings in a while, now I want to go back to them.
Well, here we are in New Mexico. Yeah, and what I wanted to really, the big point is that people do puffy clouds and they do sunsets, but there's really a lot of variety in the sky. And I think that's what people should look for. And then you have to understand, like for instance, the Mammatus clouds really are part of a storm system. So that's where the drama comes in. So if you understand what clouds represent what types of weather, you can convey that drama to your viewer by the name of the painting or a little card or something like that, so they understand the sky.
Great.
So, more questions?
What was the name of that cloud book again?
Which one?
The little book.
Oh, if you don't steal it, I'll pass it around because it's like yeah. Pass it around. You could write it down. Any other? Yes.
Maryann, in addition to the touches that you were doing with the new pastel,
Yeah.
do you use all softnesses of pastel?
All softnesses because I want to get different effects.
Like, see, if you know that you want a smeary bunch of stuff, you use a really soft.
Then I use Terry Ludwig or the Schminkies if I want it really smeary. And I've used the fine textured paper because I really don't want a lot of blood in the painting. And I use a lot of my hand. And so that's how I could get some of those little, I mean, I'll tell you which ones. All of these had a lot of smearing. There's not, I don't smear all my paintings, but I smear my clouds.
I think the
You know, I don't
harsher,
do that for trees.
the harsher grit just wastes a lot of pastel too. It takes away the subtlety, you know? doesn't it?
Yeah, but some people like that, so I'm not saying don't use it, but
Yeah.
some people
No, I mean,
like,
that's just my.
yeah. But I like the softer paper overall. And I don't know if it holds enough pastel for other types of paintings. So,
Like you said, a light touch.
question?
Yes, sir. When Dakota mounts your paper, what do they mount it on?
It's, I think it's a 4-ply or an 8-ply cotton rag board. It's archival and it's whatever standard board. And I have had some warping, especially because when I go to California, it's kind of damp. And it will sort of bow out like this. So, but I just keep painting.
But you
And
just,
then I put it in the frame and then
you just call the main number and tell them you want the
there's
stuff
a main
mounted?
number and you tell them what you want and what size you want and no patterns in the grit and they'll make you your pile of paper and mail it to you.
Is there a specific person you talk to there, or just
No.
anybody that answers the phone?
Well, I do, but I don't remember who it is, but it's the same person. And then I email them a follow-up to remind them about the grit.
Can't you use a pan pastel sponge for smearing?
You know, I thought that was gonna come up and I bet you can, but I haven't because I want the color that I want. And so,
No, I mean the
No, just the
sponge.
sponges. Just the
oh, I use all kinds of stuff. I didn't bring my stuff, but I use the insides of, you know, I use things like the inside of those boxes when you buy pastels. I use those, I use sticks, I use this, I use paper towels, whatever texture I want. And then I actually look sometimes if there is a flaw in the paper, especially if it's a little bit ripply. I use that flaw to make clouds that are sort of linear. This is too flat, but you can swipe, if you have a ripply paper, you just swipe over the top. And then it looks like you have these very uniform cloud formations, as long as they're going in the right way. And then I do actually think about a focal point and try to paint from there so that I get the perspective right. Although I didn't really demonstrate it very well right now. But I think of it when I'm on my own little world. Yes?
Which Plein original magic eraser works really well.
I
You can
use
cut it to
erasers.
any shape, cut any shape you want.
I use, I have erasers, I use erasers a lot, and I learned that from Paul when he was doing his rocks. And then I use this to make, if I want to go back through and make something a little more transparent, I'll take that and rub it over.
What is it?
But
It's
this isn't an
this
eraser.
kneadable.
It's not an eraser. It's
Oh.
It's a foam pad about so big.
Uh-huh,
It's about this thick, about 2 of them for $1.
yeah,
You can slash them up and cut them into little edges or whatever you want.
yeah.
And it's,
I'll have to try those. I
Yeah.
try to use stuff that I don't have to keep. Freebies. But, you know, you can go through and go back to the paper and make transparent yellow lines, or go back to your, see, this really works well. Oh. Okay, so if I want to make some transparent clouds through here, I can just erase off some of this blue.
Thank you, Maryann.
Yes, thank you so much.